welcome everyone to Getting to Know You. It's February. Have a very nice Valentine's Day if you're watching this before. But we're continuing to sort of look at Black history, which is celebrated in this month. And we were glad that David Mulford, who lives here, talked to us about presidents and basically how they dealt with a very serious problem in our nation. Especially after the Civil War. And today, I have to confess, I thought there must be good history happening right now. So how do we capture that Black history that we should admire? So I consulted a good friend of mine from Princeton, John Powell, and John and Janet live here at Stonebridge, because I knew the Powells were engaged in important things in Princeton that I wasn't, because they lived in the township and we lived in the borough. So I consulted John because I had this idea, because the other two faces that I think you're seeing on the screen, Michelle Tuck Ponder and Reinhold Ponder, have been valued citizens in our community. And I think for two reasons. One, they have written and communicated Black history, and I think they're living it right now. So, John, I'm going to call on you to introduce your friendship with Michelle and Reinhold, so that people get a little idea of what made you, and I think that they would be good people to talk about Black history.
I met Michelle when she was mayor of Princeton Township, and I was executor of an estate that included what is now Smoyer Park. It would not have happened without her. And Steve Frack, who together spent hours upon hours dealing with the concerns of the neighbors until, in the end, all were on board. At the outset, I asked myself if I could trust her to stay the course. Silly question. That's when I learned I could trust her. And trust is a very valuable commodity in
Right.
politics. After the sale, knowing that she was a United Methodist, I mentioned that she really should belong to a Princeton church. And that's where I came to know her in the church. I knew Reinhold first as a lawyer. That makes, if you're counting, that makes two in the family.
Uh-oh, I forgot that.
As a bankruptcy lawyer, as the lawyer for an estate where I was executor, and really the perfect lawyer for that estate. And then after beyond being a lawyer, I think he found his real love, and I have known him as an artist and founder of the Art Against Racism program. One painting of his, Ma'afa, and if I haven't said that right, correct me, greets me the first thing every morning. It's my bedroom.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He likes patrons, right,
Yeah.
John Reinhold?
If you don't know what Ma'afa refers to, use Black History Month to find out.
Or they can ask you in the hall, right, John?
That's one way of doing it, right?
Well, you told me about something they did as a couple that you found out.
Oh, yes, I'll add that too at this point. Together, they've published two books of Black preaching, one focused on faith and the other on love. Now, I've got to tell you, I'm waiting for hope.
We're hoping for hope too.
Yeah, we tried.
Now, get this. Their method is to go to a motel and read sermons to each other.
And this was when they were first married, right?
When you're first married, yeah. But they introduced me that way to Howard Thurman. And you could do worse for Black History Month than to get the PBS documentary on Thurman or their books of sermons. They're still for sale. so
Great promoter of your work.
But
Great
Howard,
gift for Valentine's Day.
but Howard Thurman, I had no idea. And I imagine a lot of others don't too. He knew Rufus Jones. He led a group to India to meet Gandhi. And he was very influential and very interesting man. So that's my introduction for.
Well, that certainly sets it up, John.
There's a lot more that could be said. I looked online. Look online under sisters, and there's a paragraph this long about all the things that Michelle has done, including giving a kidney to her sister. She's a wonderful person to know, as is Reinhold.
But don't go to her for a kidney.
No more, only one left,
yeah.
and I'm using it.
Well, John, thanks so much for setting this all up, because when I talked with you and you were telling me some of this, I said, this is exactly right. And I know Michelle and Reinhold too. So I think we'll have a good conversation. I'm going to.
Thank you, John.
You might, people here at Stonebridge may have actually met or talked to Michelle and Reinhold, because they're also the parents of a young, at that time he was a really young boy, but a sort of star kind of kid, because he was in the plays that the Methodist Church brought here. And beautiful parents went along and saw yet another production, but we saw for the first time William, right? It's William?
Yeah, William.
That was quite a while ago. But I do want to get up to contemporary matters. But here at Stonebridge, we usually ask people we don't know something like, well, where did you grow up? Or what did you do before you came to Princeton or something? So I'm going to give Michelle and Reinhold each a minute or so to say, well, not who are you, but where did you come from? How's that?
Okay, that's easy. I'll start. I am originally I was born in New York City, and I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County in northern New Jersey. And I attended Northwestern University undergrad with a degree in journalism. And then I went to University of Pennsylvania Law School, got my law degree. And then I spent some time on Capitol Hill, and I worked in the United States Senate, and I worked in the House, and then was transferred from my job with Frank Lautenberg, who used to be our United States Senator, to the New Jersey office. And it was soon thereafter that I was offered a job in the Florio administration when Jim Florio was elected governor. And that's how I ended up in Princeton, because I didn't want to drive from North Jersey down to Trenton. And I heard about Griggs Farm. And so I moved into Griggs Farm and immediately got involved in the condo association, and then found the local Democrats and started hanging out with that crowd, which is where I met Marvin and Ingrid and Phyllis Marchand and kind of the whole crew. And that's how I got to Princeton, and that's how I became engaged.
Yeah, for people that don't know Princeton, Barbara Smoyer Park was mentioned that you were involved in, and that's right near here where people should visit. It's a wonderful park. And Griggs Farm is also right near here, and it is a prize-winning suburban mixed-use housing development that is very interesting, the way it is designed, not only as a community, but physically. And the design was done by somebody who lives here at Stonebridge, Bob Geddes. So how about all those coincidences? I never thought about that. Yeah. Okay, Reinhold, where are you from?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you, John, and thank you, Ingrid. We are, Michelle and I love both of you so much. We've known you for so long, and this is fun. So I will tell you two places.
Okay.
I only have two homes.
Okay.
One is Chicago, the other is Princeton. I'm the oldest of 8,
Wow.
raised by two parents, one who went to Morehouse, the other who was an Alcorn student. And for the most part, we were raised by our mother. And there were, as I said, there were 8 of us.
Right.
She did such a wonderful job that everyone ended up in college with multiple degrees from the South Side of Chicago. And she probably made most of the time less than $10,000 a year. So we take a lot of our values and a lot of our energy from what she did for us.
Yeah.
I eventually ended up at Princeton. I decided to go to Princeton University, not knowing exactly what it really meant, but there was a cute girl who came to Dunbar to recruit, and I followed her. The girl was not Michelle, but she figured in later in the story.
Okay.
Obama or Tuck.
Ended up coming to Princeton. I loved my experience. Left, went to grad school in Boston and London, and just traveled, and eventually went to law school in New York. Came back to New Brunswick to practice law. And what Michelle did not mention was that I was the major attorney for most of the Griggs Farm purchases, because one of my closest friends were the Griggs, was
right.
Bernetta and really Dr. Peterson.
Yeah, we knew
And
those. Yeah.
as the one who worked with, you might remember Christie, who did all the affordable housing.
Yeah.
Michelle became my client. And Michelle and I bonded at the office of Ed Schmier. And I know that they wanted to kick me and Michelle out because Michelle and I were loud and laughing and giggling and etc. But years later, we went out, and I moved to Princeton because that woman, that girl, was in Princeton. So I'm always moving around because of a girl.
That's great. That's really great. It's also nice to hear Ed Schmierer's name. He's been the outstanding male on the Women's Space Board for about 30 years. And so we might as well give a little distinctions around here. So, okay, now today, here it is, 21st century. And the two of you, once again, are in exciting places for all of us. This is what I call making history, okay? Because Michelle was reelected to the school board, the highest vote getter, right? That's because they all like your sign.
It is.
It's a very
It was a great
political
sign. And I didn't do it. My niece did.
Okay, so the next thing I hear is, and I know that she's concerned about a good education for all of our kids and how to be a community, right? But then I hear that Reinhold is once again taking up a mission that I think is very important for everybody, but also it continues to be a mission in Princeton. And Reinhold, you'll have to tell me the name. It's Concerned Parents, Concerned Black Parents?
It's close. Princeton Parents for Black Children.
Black children, okay. So here we have two people in public life working on a similar project from a very different perspective. So who wants to go first on this one?
Michelle.
Okay, Michelle?
Sure. No, I'm happy to go first. I am in my second term on the Princeton Board of Education, and my focus has been and has always been educational equity and excellence for all of our students. Mm-hmm. We have an unfortunate history in our school district, very unfortunate, that while we like to think of ourselves as a community that is progressive and open, the truth is that Princeton was very resistant to integrating its schools,
Right.
and really did not even integrate its schools, or at least its elementary schools, until the state constitution. They were
Right.
forced to by an amendment to the New Jersey state constitution in
Mhm.
1948. And as one of the people, some of you may know Shirley Satterfield, but as some of the
Yeah, she's
people
been visiting here and yeah.
talked about, she said, I just went from one system of segregation to another system of segregation.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that segregation has persisted in our schools for 70 years,
Mhm.
where we have disproportionate numbers of Black and brown kids who are not achieving at the level of the white children that they sit next to in school for 12 years.
Mhm.
And one of our most distressing statistics is that 50% of Black kids and 40% of Latino kids are classified as a special ed or requiring an individual education program.
Mhm.
Any school district worth its salt, and I have no problem with saying this, I've said it publicly a million times,
Right.
you're not a successful school district unless you're successful for all the children.
Mhm.
And so there have been many people before Reynolds and I who have served on the Board of
Right.
Education and advocated and just not been able to get any traction on this issue.
Mhm.
And so it has been, for my first term, and I ran on it on my second term, my
Mhm.
priority, my commitment, and my passion. And I was really gratified that the voters agreed with
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
that this is something that we absolutely have to do. So,
Right. So now you're at the beginning of your new board, in effect,
mhm,
and there'll be a new superintendent. So if we have time, we'll go back and see what you're asking of the new superintendent, or how does this fit into that search, okay? So Reinhold, now you started this group. Has there ever been this kind of a group before?
Well, there's always been activity from the Black community in its various iterations in terms of attacking discrimination and attacking segregation. But this is the first time that a group has been incorporated for the long haul. And so one of our goals is we have an understanding that the racism is systemic and institutionalized,
Mhm.
and that in order to deal with it, we need to have institutionalized tools. And
Mhm.
so we wanted to make sure that we brought parents together in a way that would be sustainable over a longer period of time,
Mhm.
which is why we incorporated. And in addition to that, we wanted to bring the variety of communities together. So we created a board which includes legacy positions where we have representatives from Griggs Farm and the Witherspoon Jackson community and PCH, so that these issues aren't necessarily dominated by a certain educational class of parents or economic class of parents, but that we make it clear that in order to really desegregate the schools, and Michelle is absolutely right, our schools are still extremely segregated. In order to desegregate the schools, we've got to deal with all of the children of color. And what we suspect or what we know is that once we start to deal with what some may say the least, those who have the least, we'll find out that others are greatly impacted too. The non-people of color are greatly impacted, that there are only certain class or group of people who are really benefiting from this great educational environment that we have, the great potential. And so we talk about it as an achievement gap, but really it's an opportunity gap. And it takes more than just one person on the board to really deal with that over the long haul.
Right, right. So are you engaging, are you hoping that white people are on your group as well? Do you need the involvement of everyone in the community?
Oh, yeah. Before we started this, incorporated, we had quite a number of white allies working with us, and we still do. It is essential that we break that barrier of Black and white.
Right.
Although we're focused on the Black children,
right,
that once we begin to help those children, it really will end up helping everyone.
Right, right. I think that when we're all together, then we have real success for everyone. We can't work separately, alone. But living in Princeton for a long time, this is not a new message at all. And I think in every generation, there needs to be new energy for social equity, for caring about people who don't have the opportunities. It's not them, it's really the opportunities. And so it's really great to hear you taking on this leadership. Michelle, can you just mention a couple of things that the board is looking at? So, you know, you're going to be have to defend your record in 3 years. You might as well start now. What are you going to do?
She's not defending a record in 3 years.
Oh, no. You got 6 years out of me.
She said the same thing when she was mayor.
I kept my word too. I think that 6 years is long enough for anybody to serve in the public office and locally. I think
Well,
that
but you have 3 years ahead of you.
I have 3 years ahead of me, and one of the things that my job is to keep my colleagues focused on the need to always keep equity as a priority. We have a wonderful, lofty mission for our school district,
Right.
and it is to the interest of everyone that we continue to have a school district that is excellent, but it is also to the benefit of everyone to make it excellent for everyone.
Right.
So my colleagues know that when we lead off a discussion and we talk about what our priority is, the overarching theme is that we achieve educational equity, that we understand what our role is and our accountability as a school district in contributing to inequity, and talk about ways that we can affect that. But the truth of the matter is, we can engage the community as school board members. That's our job. But the real work comes from the superintendent.
Right.
And you have to have someone who has a professional track record and a personal commitment to ensuring that educational opportunity and equality is a priority, front and center, all the time for
Right.
all our kids.
Maybe we should stop there. That's the challenge to all of us, taxpayers who complain about paying taxes, are really so important in making this mission possible, to be supportive. So I want to thank both of you. John, aren't they making you proud with what they're doing now?
They always make me proud.
I also should reveal.
It's a privilege to know them, really.
Yeah, I believe that too. I also have to give Michelle credit, because I'm only doing this kind of program here at Stonebridge because I got so much wonderful practice doing it with you for 4 years in Princeton when we were Read and Ponder.
Read and ponder, that's true.
A fun show.
Ingrid would read and I would ponder.
That's a bad old people joke.
Right. But we're really delighted for what you've contributed to our understanding of Black history, and that you are living the new chapter that we all have to commit ourselves to in the 21st century. So I think I just want to say thank you to both of you for what you're doing and for visiting with us today. And John and I are so pleased that the idea we had, I think it really worked out terrifically. So thank you. And thank you to Jock McFarland, who's our videographer, our Zoom manager, who got us together and is making this work. And always to Jeff Teener, with whom we check in about our plans, and he gives us some guidance from the resident president position. So thanks a lot. And we will be watching, I hope, to see how things go. But some of these things take time and people need to talk to each other. And I think you guys know it very well. So, but don't be impatient. No, be impatient. I think that's a better way to say it. Be impatient.
I think so. Martin Luther King used to always say, about being patient. I think that was his letter from the Birmingham jail that talked about being impatient and waiting for the right time. So
Right, yeah,
we can be guided by that too.
Right. Every day we should be doing one good thing that moves us forward.
Absolutely.
So thanks an awful lot to Michelle Tuck Ponder and Reinhold Ponder, and John, thanks to you for getting us together on this. We're glad that we were able to have you come to Stonebridge, and we're part of getting to know you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again.
Thank you guys very much for the opportunity. Bye.